First off, I want to say with Summer House Martha's Vineyard, this is one of my favorite new shows. We're going to talk about the cast first. I'm going to give you guys my opinion on the cast members, and then we'll talk about kind of my overall opinion on the show on the entire season one. Jasmine and Silas are the good and gather. Barack and Michelle Obama, okay, President and First Lady of the Oak Bluffs home. Silas, brother, Silas, I was with you. You showed your ass in the last few episodes. Jasmine, a young, beautiful, Black creative woman. Her first couple episodes was giving me very much like Black Twitter lingo. Bria, so cute. She's feisty. She came in with this dog honey. She did not ask anybody's permission. Jordan walks in, the men go crazy. And a lot of you girls on the internet actually really couldn't take Jordan. Amir, he was funny. He was definitely comedic relief. Alex, very attractive guy, very cool, calm, collected. I wasn't sure if he was the right type of personality fit for reality television. Nick, you know you're a F-boy. You know what you did.
Why? No, what you did? What did I do?
Denise, okay, wild child of the bunch. Definitely a fun girl summer. She gave off Hillary Banks vibes. I love the way she walked into the house. Jason, we didn't get to know him. I'm a little indifferent on him. Preston, I liked Preston a lot. I loved that he was not afraid to speak up for himself. I'm so glad they got Phil's nasty ass out of there ASAP.
Stop it. Get some help.
Justice for Mariah. She should not have put her hands on Bria. I would like to see a redemption arc. This has been a show for me that has felt so refreshing, so relatable. The cast was so likable. They were so beautiful. And I'm just ready to get into it. Welcome back, friends. Today we are getting into Summer House Martha's Vineyard. The season finale just recently aired, and I have feelings, so we're going to talk about them. First off, I want to say with Summer House Martha's Vineyard, this is one of my favorite new shows in a long time. I know, like I feel like there's like an overload of content these days with all the streamers and the networks and the this and the that, but this has been a show for me that has felt so refreshing, so relatable. The cast was so likable. They were so beautiful. And I'm just ready to get into it. But first, with Summer House, I think I mentioned this in my video about the blackening my people, talking to us. Okay. I think too many times we go into watching shows or movies that are about us or for us, and we are immediately looking to critique these shows. Like we kind of go in with a critical eye. And I really want us to stop doing that, because when I was doing my rounds when Summer House Martha's Vineyard was airing, and I was like watching people's reviews and what they had to say about the show on various social media platforms, there were quite a few people who were supportive and open-minded. I saw more negative critiques than I really wanted to. And I'm not saying that you should just love something because it's Black people or it's for Black people. I myself am very, very critical. There are some things that I just think are bad. Some things that I know just off rip are not for me. There are certain shows out there. I can look at the premise, I can see a trailer, and I'm like, okay, that's not for me. But I think if you go into something and you are watching commercials or previews or trailers for a specific TV show or movie, and it piques your interest, I think that we should start going into those things with a lot more of an open mind and not just ready to jump off the porch and being critical of it. Because I think my issue with that is, if they, fingers crossed that Summer House Martha's Vineyard comes back for a season 2, if it gets canceled, I already can predict how people will react and respond, and they'll complain about us having just like a lack of variety in the type of Black people that are represented on television. There'll be comparisons to Zeus, and it's not any shade to Zeus. It's just that Zeus has a very specific type of audience that they target, and I really feel like the audience that is watching Summer House Martha's Vineyard is not the audience that's watching Zeus. They'll complain about the type of people who are represented on Zeus and what they choose to focus on. And then you get a show like Summer House Martha's Vineyard and it's different. And then I still see complaints about that. And maybe there's something in the middle. I don't know. Maybe you just didn't like the show. I'm not really sure. I don't want to harp too much on the negative though, but I do, just want to put that out there as an ask for my community. If you see something that seems interesting to you, go into it with more of an open mind and not a critical eye. With that being said, okay, today we're going to talk about the cast first. I'm going to give you guys my opinion on the cast members, and then we'll talk about kind of my overall opinion on the show on the entire season one. I don't know that I'll ever go episode by episode and just recap because I just feel like, for one, as a viewing audience, you guys have watched the show. You don't need me to just kind of run things back scene by scene. I think kind of doing more of an analysis or overall opinion on a season or on a cluster of episodes is a better use of your time watching me and my time recording. But if you are someone who is interested in kind of like episode by episode recaps, tell me and then tell me why you find those fascinating because I'm open minded. But for me, I never watch anybody's kind of recap of every single episode of a season of a show because some shows don't call for an in depth recap because not enough happened. So that's kind of where I'm at. But anyway, moving right along, we're going to talk about again the cast, my opinions there, and then we'll get into my opinion on the overall season. So let's start with the cast. Oh, we're going to start with the Good and Gather Barack and Michelle Obama, Jasmine and Silas. Listen, you know how people say like the great value version of X, Y, and Z? Target has a brand called Good and Gather, and that's their like store brand. Like Great Value is Walmart's store brand, okay? Jasmine and Silas are the Good and Gather Barack and Michelle Obama, okay, President and First Lady of the Oak Bluffs home, the Martha's Vineyard home, honey. They came in just I love them so much. Like, I love everybody on this cast, so I want to preface it there, but I have to be completely honest. The way that Jasmine and Silas came in, you would think that they had a long family history in the vineyard. The way Jasmine was carrying on about the traditions at the vineyard and all this and that. I was like, oh, these people do this. Then I find out that they are recently married, and this is only Jasmine's, I think, second time on the vineyard because Mariah, her friend, pointed that out. Neither here nor there. They were a really good anchor to me. I know there's some mixed opinions about their relationship and it's just about them as people, but they were pretty good anchors to me. I think Silas, brother, Silas, I was with you, okay? I understand people very well who are just very particular. Some would say controlling. I don't know if it's because I have a father who also is pretty particular. So I get that. And I understood that. And so when people were giving you crap about being controlling and not allowing Jasmine to just be, I was like, maybe there's a different perspective, a different vantage point. But Silas, you showed your ass in the last few episodes. You really became that person that people were saying you were. And I don't know what happened, but it went from just being particular about certain things to, I think, just feeling disrespectful to Jasmine. And so that's kind of where I'm at with Silas. I think the issue with Jasmine and Silas is these are two people who did not date for very long before they got married. And then they started recording the show very shortly after the wedding. So it seems like we are having a peek into their marriage as newlyweds when we shouldn't, because they're still figuring each other out. They're still getting to know each other. And not to say that a year or two down the line, it would be perfect. I just think if we were to be watching a couple who's a couple years into their marriage, a lot of their issues wouldn't have been so obvious on the screen. And so I don't want to say I don't think they're compatible. I just feel like they have a lot of growing and connecting to do as a couple. And I don't know that we should have been privy to that. Okay. That moves me into his wife, Jasmine. Her first couple episodes, Jasmine was giving me very much like Black Twitter lingo. Like everything she said, I was like, that sounds like a tweet or like a hashtag that I heard. But I did appreciate just her being a young, beautiful, Black creative woman. I obviously resonate with that. And so I was interested in her from the beginning. I think the other thing, just talking about her relationship with Silas, Jasmine also strikes me as a person who is so dedicated to perception, to the image. I think for that reason, her and Silas will probably be married for a really long time. I think that she even mentioned this. They discuss specific roles within their marriage, and those are roles that really work for them. I think the other issue with Jasmine, though, is she's having a hard time trying to turn off that Playboy Club bartender or hostess and turn on her Claire Huxtable. And I don't know that she has discovered the balance between those two people yet. And so I'm hoping that we are able to see her on that journey. She also talked about the fact that her parents weren't married. And so I think she's really just dedicated to becoming an example in a way that her parents maybe were not to her. But yeah, Jasmine and Silas, very interesting couple. Let's move on to Bria. Okay, so listen, Bria had potential to really be a great villain. Like, she is so cute. She's feisty. She came in with this dog, honey. She did not ask anybody's permission to bring this dog. So she came in with her accessory on some Paris Hilton stuff. So she comes in and she already is just, again, very fiery. And so I had high hopes for her. But I think the other thing with Bria is she doesn't know how to regulate her emotions. And that does not make for a good villain, right? A good villain is kind of in control most of the time. And for Bria, you see her lose control a lot of her emotions. And so for that, she wasn't the villain that I thought she was going to be for this season. But I do want to see her back for a second season. And I don't want to villainize people, but I do think there are certain archetypes within reality television. And I feel like Bria was set up to be like the villain archetype, like kind of like quick to blow up, but she does have redeemable qualities about herself. So I will give her that. And I also want to mention like Bria had more points than I was willing to give her initially because the last episode when her and Summer got into it and Summer pushed her, and Bria was like, I'm tired of people in this house thinking they can put their hands on me. Now, while Bria is very annoying and she seems like a really annoying roommate, she's absolutely right. Nobody should have put their hands on her. Mariah kind of did when she gave her the laundry earlier in the season, and then Summer just pushed her. And Summer did apologize. But Bria was absolutely right about that. And for that reason, I kind of changed my tune a little bit on I think the reactions to her because the way she reacted to Mariah and wanting Mariah to get kicked out, I thought that wasn't a reaction, but it made me change my mind. Like, you know what? You're absolutely right. Somebody puts their hands on you, whether it's because they're shoving something into your chest or not, you have every right to feel uncomfortable. And so, yeah, that was Bria. Excited to see her back for season 2. I would love to know kind of what's going on with her assignment because Simon was crazy as hell. And those dance moves that he was doing, I have to see those again. Oh, Jordan. Okay, now we're getting into the bombshell of the house. All right. Jordan walks in. Every man in the house loved Jordan except for Silas because he is married, and then Preston because Jordan isn't his tea. Jordan walks in, the men go crazy, and a lot of you girls on the internet actually really couldn't take Jordan. And I was laughing about it a lot because I was seeing a lot of the videos talking about Martha's Vineyard. And every time people would get to Jordan, it's like, oh, she's a cute girl, but this. She's a cute girl, but this, like trying to find something wrong with her. And I'm here to tell you, baby, not a flaw. Jordan, beautiful, 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 beautiful. But one of the things that I noticed about Jordan when she had the outburst toward Alex and Amir about them sexualizing her is she kind of came in and she led with the fact that she was the Playboy Playmate of the Year. I'm so sorry, Jordan, if I'm getting that title wrong, but she was the 4th Black one and just the last one, period, I believe. And so she leads with that, which leads us as a viewing audience to believe that's something she's very proud of. But then as she is in her blow up about the men sexualizing her, for me, it felt like she might have some internalized insecurity around that. And I think two things can be true at the same time. I think Jordan can be very proud and happy about her accomplishment in Playboy, but I also think that she assumes men know what it means to pose nude or they have a particular feeling about women who pose nude. And so I think she has a complex, a subconscious complex around posing for Playboy. And that kind of came out in that conversation. But yeah, if I dig too much deeper into that, I'm going to sound like I'm a therapist. Spoiler alert, I am not. So let's move on. Amir, he was funny. He was definitely comedic relief. It was cool to be able to watch him explore more of his Black side after growing up in a place where that doesn't seem like he had a lot of experience or a lot of exposure to. So that was really fun. Liked Amir, want him to come back. Alex. So Alex, first of all, very handsome and attractive guy. I keep saying that about everybody on the cast, clearly. But Alex, very attractive guy, very cool, calm, collected. I wasn't sure if he was the right type of personality fit for reality television. And not saying that everyone on reality television has to have a huge personality, but he seemed almost too composed, almost too cool. And so I wasn't sure at first, but as the season progressed, I was like, oh, Alex is a great balance for this house. When you put him up against someone like a Bria, Alex, complete opposite ends of the spectrum. And I think that is very much needed when you have an ensemble cast. So that is my read on Alex. Nick, okay. Nick, you know you're a F boy. You know what you did in my Lauren Conrad voice for all the Hills fans. You know what you did, Nick, and it wasn't cool. It really wasn't cool, and I hope your girlfriend got into your ass when she watched the season back. Based on how we seen her on the show, it doesn't seem like she would dump you, which is what I would have suggested, but she does. I hope she did get into your ass about that because you know you were dead ass wrong for sliding in all of those girls' DMs like that. But like Carlos King mentioned when we were talking about the show on his podcast, Nick is such a breath of fresh air in terms of seeing a heterosexual man who is highly into fashion and the way he looks on reality TV. I love seeing characters like Nick. I think he also was very good comedic relief for the show. He seems just very in tune with all aspects of himself, his masculine, his feminine, you know what I mean? Which made him like a really good kind of gel for the rest of the house. And his girlfriend was so beautiful, Nick. I can't believe you didn't come into the house blazing and talking about this young lady. She was beautiful. She looks like a little baby doll. And you didn't tell them until 2 weeks in that you were seeing someone in New York. I'm gonna get off of it. I'm gonna get off of it because I'm getting mad for her. And clearly, Miss Girl was not really upset about it, but don't do that anymore, Nick. Denise, okay, wild child of the bunch. We didn't get a chance to know a lot about her. What I will say about Shanice is her first impression, or my first impression of her, she was not really a loyal friend because that scene in the beginning when Bria was arguing with Mariah and someone asks Shanice to go help her friend. I forget exactly what happened, but she goes, I'm not on anybody's side. No, that's not what, like, you stand with your girl. You came in there with your best friend. Okay, we know Bria's a firecracker. You didn't have to go in there and debo Mariah, but you could have just gone and like been there for your friend, even if it was to just like help diffuse the situation and calm her down. But the fact that you were just like, I'm not on anybody's side, it was that other side of you that came out, and you know, y'all know which side I'm referring to. I love Shanice. Definitely a fun girl though, and if she comes back next season, I think she's great. She's always gonna shake some stuff up, and for that reason, characters like her are definitely needed on ensemble cast. Summer's another one we just really didn't get to know that much. She came toward the end, and she just, like they said, she gave off Hillary Banks vibes. I love the way she walked into the house. Beautiful girl. There's some spice to Summer, and I think when I saw her initially, you just kind of see kind of like good girl. But as we see her in subsequent episodes, she is really spicy. And for that reason, I would love to get to know her more in season 2. Jason, same. Came late. We didn't get to know him. I'm a little indifferent on him because we just really didn't get to know much about his personality. So it would be nice if there's a season 2 and he comes back and he's there from day one. I think we'll get to know a lot more about him. But as it stands, if he doesn't return, I don't think that I will think about his presence. Preston. I liked Preston a lot. I love the fact that he had the Pride Night for the LGBTQ representation. I loved that he was not afraid to speak up for himself when they were doing the workouts with Silas. And Silas was like, you're not pushing yourself. And Preston is like, I'm pushing myself to my own limit. Our limits may be different, but I'm doing the best with what I got, like Mariah Carey said. So I very much enjoy Preston. He is a voice of reason almost, and somebody again that's just very needed in a cast like this. So yes, want to see Preston back. The voted off cast members, Mariah and Phil. I'm so glad they got Phil's nasty ass out of there ASAP. Like, disgusting. Get some class, Phil. Mariah though, justice for Mariah. She should not have put her hands on Bria, but I feel like based on her reaction, she might have had some other things going on at the time that may have caused her to react in a way that she may not have been proud of. I would like to see a redemption arc for Mariah. So if there's a season 2, I hope Mariah can come back because they just voted her out. And Jasmine, girl, Mariah, I looked on your Instagram. Mariah was in your wedding. How can you just like vote her out of the house? You should have fought for her a little bit more than you did. But you know, we don't know what was left on the cutting room floor. So maybe you did and we just didn't see it. But they painted it as if, Jasmine, you just were like, all right, peace, Mariah. And I don't think that was fair. So justice for Mariah. I hope Mariah can return in a full-time capacity for season 2. Now, so for the finale, I was so shocked. So one of my biggest critiques of Summer House Martha's Vineyard as I was watching week to week, I remember in the original Summer House, you know how we're calling this one the Black Summer House and the other one the White Summer House? The White Summer House, when they had parties, they invited other people who were also like vacationing in the Hamptons. They invited like their other friends there. And so there weren't times where it was just the house when they were doing an event. And I think that's what Summer House Martha's Vineyard was missing for me. Is like they would have these events at the house and nobody else would show up. And I know there are a lot of Black people, particularly in the Oak Bluffs region of Martha's Vineyard. So there were people that they could have invited. I mean, hell, listen, season two, me and my friends will come down. We'll come through and party with y'all. But I think there needed to be more interaction between the house guests and other people who were vacationing or living on the vineyard. Because in the finale episode, that party, they had other people there. So I'm like, where the hell were these people throughout the rest of the season? So for season two, they need to do more of that, more interaction with people who don't actually live in the house. And then the other thing that I've seen is like people asking for a reunion. I don't necessarily think Summer House Martha's Vineyard needed a reunion for season one. Reunions, in the way that I have consumed them, feel like a way to dig deeper into any issues from the season, a chance to like offer closure on any drama or beefs that started. And I just feel like with what we got from this first season of Summer House Martha's Vineyard, there wasn't much that we needed to close on, and there wasn't much that needed to be resolved. I think the biggest story is Jasmine and Silas with their marriage. And I think for what we saw in the finale, they set it up great for a storyline for season two. So I don't think they needed a reunion. I really just want them to have a season two because there are some relationships and other storylines that I think we could spend a lot more time unpacking and getting updates on. And then for season two, listen, fingers crossed again. I hope we get another one. I think they should keep the casting largely the same. And I say that because this was everybody's rookie season. And when people are on reality TV for the first time, they're just trying to decide who they want to present to the world. And I think as the relationships start to gel a little bit more, they start to get to know each other more, we will then be able to choose sides and choose characters that we want to move forward. But I think everybody on the cast should at least come back for a season two and we can see how that works. Like I said, I'm pretty indifferent on Jason, but only because we didn't get a chance to know him that well. And I pray to the high heavens that they never bring Phil back. He does not need to come back. But everybody else, I would love to see on episode one, season two. So bravo if you are watching this, y'all. Renew them, renew our cousins. I want another season on the Vineyard. That's gonna be it for me today, y'all. What did y'all think about Summer House Martha's Vineyard? Do you want a season two? Were you one of those people that were trying to read it early on? Were you one of the Jordan haters? What are your thoughts? Let's talk about it in the comments and I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.